All right, members of the Charter Review Committee, good evening. This is your city manager, Gabriel Gonzalez. First of all, I wanted to be there in person, but I had an appointment late this afternoon and I was unable to return in time. In addition to myself from city staff, we have our city clerk that is there in person. Joining us via Zoom is one of our assistant city attorneys, Henry Castillo with BBNK, which is the city attorney's office. And together we'll be making the presentation this evening. So the first thing of order is to call the meeting to order. It is now approximately 6:10 p.m. And city clerk, can you call roll call, please?
Dennis Atkinson.
Here.
Chris Dozier.
Here.
Susie Harmer.
Here.
Gerard Loaiza.
Here.
And Cynthia Marquez.
Here.
Okay, there are no changes to the agenda. And so could I get one of you to make a motion to approve the agenda as published? And then a second, and then the city clerk could take roll call.
Dennis Atkinson, I'll move.
Thank you.
Gerard Loaiza, I'll second.
Thank you. City clerk, roll call, please.
Atkinson.
Yes.
Dozier.
Yes.
Harmer.
Yes.
Loaiza.
Yes.
And Marquez.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any members, city clerk, in the public or in the Zoom for any public comment?
Not at this time.
Okay. Members of the committee, the first item under management reports for you is to a committee selection of a chairperson and vice chairperson. We thought it would be a good idea for you to nominate and appoint yourselves a chairperson and vice chairperson of the committee that can lead the meetings and be the one to lead the meetings. So at this time, there's on the floor would be to nominate a chairperson among yourselves. You can then second and then vote. And then there would be a nomination for the vice chairperson and then a second and then a roll call vote. So at this time, members of the committee, the floor is open for whoever may want to nominate a person for the chairperson position.
I'd like to nominate Dennis Atkinson. He's
Okay.
faster than me.
All right, there's a nomination for Dan Atkinson to be the chairperson of the committee. Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay, we have a second. City clerk, roll call, please.
Atkinson.
Yes.
Dozier.
Yes.
Harmer.
Yes.
Marquez.
Yes.
And Loaiza.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Atkinson, congratulations. You're now the chairperson of the committee. The floor is now open for nominations for the vice chairperson position.
I'd like to nominate Dozier.
Okay, there's a nomination for Chris Dozier. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Dennis seconds it.
Okay, Dennis seconds. Thank you. City clerk, roll call, please.
Atkinson.
Yes.
Dozier.
Yes.
Harmer.
Yes.
Marquez.
Yes.
And Loaiza.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Dozier, congratulations on your appointment as vice chairperson. At this time, Mr. Atkinson, I'm going to hand the meeting over to you, and we are now under management reports, item number 2, which is the committee approval of meeting calendar. So I am now handing off the meeting to you. Go ahead, Mr. Atkinson.
So we need a meeting calendar. How many meetings are we going to have?
Certainly, Mr. Atkinson, our city clerk has a slide that will show the proposed dates for the committee to meet along with each topic for each of those meetings for discussion. City clerk, can you please share the screen and show that? Okay, so we've taken the liberty of putting two different schedules together. We have an option one, option two. Option one designates the Mondays, and we are proposing to meet May 9th, May 23rd, June 6th, June 20th, 5 p.m. each of those days. Option two is to meet on May 16th at 5 p.m., Tuesday, May 31st, Monday, June 6th, and Monday, June 20th, all at the same time, 5 p.m.
I'd go for one. Does that work for you guys?
Option one works for me.
Option one,
Perfect.
Option one works best for myself.
Okay.
those that are on the screen.
Just to add, Mr. Atkinson, members of the committee, this is the sections of the charter that we review at the meetings. So the first meeting would be sections 1 through sections 4 of the charter. The second meeting would be sections 5 through 8, and the third meeting would be sections 9 through 11. And the fourth meeting would be a discussion and compiling a list of recommendations from the committee that would then be presented to the city council. So this is the topics, or more so the sections of the charter that would be reviewed and discussed each of those meetings.
So we
So
need
city clerk,
option one.
yeah, if that's the committee's pleasure to go with option one, you would ask for a motion, then a second, and we could vote on that.
Sorry, can we get the slide that shows the two options one more time?
Certainly, city clerk, please. There you are.
Okay, option one works for me.
I agree. One's fine with me also.
Do we have a motion for option one?
I move that we adopt option one, the schedule.
Second?
I second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Dozier,
Yes.
Harmer,
Yes.
Marquez,
Yes.
Loaiza,
Yes.
and Atkinson.
Yes. So who's gonna do the charter introduction?
So, Mr.
Okay.
Chairperson, next item is the city charter introduction. That is a presentation of our city attorney's office. We have prepared an introductory presentation that will walk you through in terms of comparison of a charter city versus general law city, some of the powers and authorities given to a charter city, what is a charter. And so this is more informational and background to help you prepare to engage in those upcoming discussions related to the city's charter. And so with that, I will have our city attorney's office, Henry Castillo, begin that presentation. This is an interactive process. And so if you have questions, feel free to pose those questions as our city attorney's office is making the presentation, and either I or city clerk are available to answer those questions as we go along. So with that, Henry, can you please take over?
Thank you, Gabriel. Welcome committee members. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so I can pull up the presentation. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
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 So I'm going to be doing a quick introduction regarding a charter city versus a general law city, and also the charter amendment process. So California cities are divided into general law cities or charter cities. In this presentation, I'm going to address what is a general law city versus a charter city, specific examples of charter city powers, and the procedure for amending a charter. So a charter city is a city that's adopted its own charter. So the charter is characterized as the city's constitution. So the city of Shafter adopted their charter in June 16, 1995. And since then, there hasn't been any amendments to it. There was a charter committee review process that took place, I want to say in 2012, but none of the recommendations were adopted. A general law city is a city that has not adopted its own charter, and they're governed under general principles of state law. So, like I said, a general law city is bound by the state's general law with respect to municipal affairs. So those general law cities don't have their own charter, and they're bound by state law. So of California's 482 cities, approximately 360 are general law cities. So the majority of the cities within the state are general law cities. So charter cities. So charter cities have supreme authority over municipal affairs. So there's a lot of case law and a lot of different ways that municipal affairs has been defined, and I'm going to go over some of those in some later slides. So there are some areas where charter cities do not have authority to act, and that's what we call matters of statewide concern. So the definition of statewide concern has increased over the years. So it's narrowed the distinction between charter and general law cities. So what is a municipal affair? So a municipal affair is the way that a charter city governs its municipal elections, the methods of enacting local ordinances, compensation of city officials and employees, public contracting, acquisition and establishment of municipal parks, operation of municipally owned utilities, and imposition of license tax on local businesses. The California Constitution, like I said, the California Constitution does not define municipal affairs, and therefore this term has been defined by the courts. What's a matter of statewide concern? So, like I said earlier, this has grown in nature over the years, but these are some of the examples of areas of statewide concern that govern both general law and charter cities, and they're governed by state law. So one of them is the Brown Act. So the Brown Act is the way that we're conducting this business today. The city clerk published the agenda. The public was notified of the meeting, and they were also provided an opportunity to direct any concerns to the committee. Another area of statewide concern is Public Records Act. So that's the way that that's the way that public documents are disclosed to the public. Other areas of statewide concern is regulation of traffic and vehicles. So a charter city can say, well, a red light's going to mean go and a green light's going to mean stop. So that's an area of statewide concern. Also the roads and the way that the vehicles are licensed. Another area is licensing of members of a trade or a profession. So for example, the city of Shafter can say, well, attorneys that practice law within the city of Shafter have to obtain a license through the city. That's another matter of statewide concern, and the state has the city has taken over these type of licensings. The other one is CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, exercise of eminent domain, Government Claims Act, and labor relations. So like I said, the distinction between general law and charter cities has narrowed over time. Some of the examples are prevailing wages on public projects, and also anything that requires state or federal funding is a matter of state concern. So the city of Shafter approved the city of Shafter approved its. Sorry, this sentence is kind of weird. So the city charter was approved by Shafter voters on June 6, 1995. And the city charter has not been amended since it's been approved. And like I said, since 1995, there has been a charter review committee, and the recommendations that they brought forth were not adopted by the city council. So state law provides three methods to amend a city charter. So one is by city council drafting the charter amendment and proposing it to the voters. Another one is electing the charter commission who drafts the charter amendment and submits it directly to the voters, or a citizen initiative is filed placing a charter amendment directly on the ballot. So the way that the city of Shafter's charter is written, I believe this is the next slide. Yes. So Article 10, Section 10.02 provides that the city of Shafter has a decennial review committee. So after 10 years, and after the census has been conducted, the city council creates a citizen charter advisory committee. And then within 6 months of that review, they bring recommendations to the city council, and the city council looks them over. And if the city council agrees with them, then they will pass them on to the voters. So here's a little bit of further breakdown. So the council appointed each one of you to consider possible amendments. Some of the things that we do have to take into consideration is that the things that we have to take into consideration is that the Charter Commission has limited power. So you're going to be making recommendations to the city council, but you can act outside of the power that charter cities are given. So we can't make any changes requiring CEQA or labor relations or anything like that. So then after you make the recommendations, your recommendations will be presented to the city council. And then after, the city council will submit it to the voters. So then we have a pretty tight deadline because of COVID. The numbers that were reported by the census were pushed back. So we're hoping to have everything finalized by June 30th. And then that way we can present them to the city council. And if the city council agrees with your recommendations, then they can call for an election by August the 5th. And then the charter amendment election will be on November 8th, 2022 of this year. And that pretty much concludes my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Can we get a copy of that presentation just for reference?
Yes, we definitely can.
Thank you.
So, Chair, that concludes the staff presentation on this item. It was an introductory informational. And at this time, that concludes our information. Something that we're going to prepare at the staff level for you. And by the way, the support staff to the committee will be myself, city manager, our city clerk, and our city attorney office, Henry Castillo. One of the things we thought would be helpful for you, and you can also let us know there's additional information you like in advance of the next meeting that's scheduled. And one of the things we want to do is provide you some comparisons. We want to look at other charter cities just to give you an idea of what other cities have, charter cities, in terms of the way they govern themselves, just so you have a comparison. So that we'll prepare that and send that over to you before the next meeting as part of the agenda packet. So with that, if there's any other information you like related to the city charter or besides the PowerPoint presentation, you can let us know. Otherwise, we will proceed and return. May city clerk, what's the date? May 9th. And we'll prepare the staff report, the agenda, publish that. And at this time, that concludes any additional information from us.
I have a question.
Certainly.
Okay, so you mentioned that the previous review, the committee did give some recommendations, but they were not accepted by the city council. Do you know, are you familiar with what they were, and was it not approved because it didn't pertain to the charter, or they just didn't agree with what the changes should be?
City clerk, I wasn't here, Henry wasn't here. Our city clerk may have some institutional knowledge. My understanding is that because the city charter had just been adopted in 1995, and so it was still kind of new. And so when we did the review in 2010, from that sense is they weren't any significant changes at that time to the charter. But City Clerk, is there anything to add to that?
Yes, I'm trying to find the report. I can share that report with you all. That was provided to council. Just one second. Oops. Sorry about that. Can you all see that? Does-
Yes.
So it lists, they had a question about a section 4.10 staff response to audit systems letter. And then there was a reporting of the GAN limit. And that was the city's total amount of sales tax revenues have grown over the years due to the emphasis of economic development. And then I think there's a second page. The committee member Rodriguez stated the city should focus on the needs of Shafter's children, and to the extent of those needs can be best met and improved through any future charter amendment that should be addressed. And the committee agreed that the charter should not be amended unless it is determined by the city council that the city's GAN limit can be best raised through a charter amendment. The committee adjourned with no further recommendations and concluded its work.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so basically they were giving general recommendations, but didn't necessarily pertain to the charter that required any changes. That's why they weren't adopted.
That seems to be the case. Yes.
Okay.
And just a little bit of background procedurally, the recommendations will go to city council, and then the city council will deliberate and then eventually adopt those recommendations. And then the recommendations, any amendments to the charter actually has to go out to the voters. And so we would have to submit any changes to the amendment to the county register elections office, because it would be a ballot.
Mhm.
It would have to be on the ballot in November. And so we would put that proposed changes to the voters of the city of Shafter to either vote yes or no to those those adopted changes by the city council. So this ultimately comes down to the voters, even though the city council may adopt the recommendations. Ultimately, it's up to the Shafter voters to pass or not pass the amendments.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else to come before the committee this evening?
Nothing from staff, Chairman Atkinson.
I think we're adjourned. We need a motion to adjourn, or can we just adjourn?
I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to.
You'll move?
Yes,
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, roll call.
Aye.
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 It is now 6:33.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Henry, BB&K Henry, which office are you in?
I'm in the Ontario office.
In the which one?
Ontario?
Ontario, okay.